Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today is another episode of reviewing NHL teams so far, as today we got the New Jersey Devils, and as well I'll be having a special guest in Pearlo Wisdom. His channel links will be down in the description below, as we're going to be talking more in depth on the New Jersey Devils and all their moves. That will be at the end of the video. Also, I'd like to just say we got some NHL news finally, but some very sad news as Alexander Steen, the left winger for the St. Louis Blues, has called it a career. He is retiring. A cup winner, I guess. He won it a year ago, and very sad. He's a very good player. I've always kind of liked Alexander Steen. He was always a great player for the St. Louis Blues, and it's very sad to hear that. And also, Henrik Lundqvist is taking this year off as well for a heart condition. Really sucks for King Henrik. I was really excited to see him in the Washington Capitals uniform, to see how well he would play there. It really does suck, and I wish him all the best. And don't force yourself to play hockey if you can't. We can. I mean, it sucks that he has never won a cup. I was really hoping maybe this year would be the 1 year, but you know, it is what it is. Also, before we get into talking about the New Jersey Devils, if you are new to the channel, make sure to slap that subscribe button and that like button as well. They'll be very much appreciated. So let's finally get into the New Jersey Devils, and we got to talk about this team as they're sort of rebuilding. They got their new GM in Tom Fitzgerald, who kind of took that interim tag off of him, and he's now officially the GM for the New Jersey Devils. He's been in the organization since 2015. He's seen Ray Shero take this team over, so he's been here for a little while now. Also as well, they got Lindy Ruff as their head coach, which I know there was kind of not a lot of backlash, but a lot of, I guess, not optimistic. The other word, I can't find the word for some reason. But Lindy Ruff, I think this is going to be a very good signing for the New Jersey Devils. A good head coach in Lindy Ruff, who has done a lot of good stuff with Buffalo, Dallas. Yeah, he's had a couple rough patches here and there, but I think Lindy Ruff will be able to kind of get this team in shape, especially since Jack Hughes had a bad year. Almost everyone on this team here in New Jersey pretty much had a bad year. They weren't really playing very well. Nico Hischier, of course, played great. I can't talk shit about Nico Hischier. He was injured, though, and we got to have maybe a 100% year from Nico Hischier where he could play a lot of the games, which he did. He did play a decent amount of them, but 36 points and minus 16, but Nico Hischier's, of course, the guy, and Jack Hughes, right? And they didn't do too much, to be completely honest with you, but they didn't lose too many people. But where they really strike the most was their draft. They had two other picks. I think one was from Tampa Bay and one was from Vancouver. Yeah, one was from, the Vancouver pick. I don't know where the other pick came from, if Fitzgerald made the trade or if it was like another deal, but yeah, it was probably a deal from Ray Shero. But anyways, they had 3 first-round picks. They had a 7th, 18th, and 20th, which you knew if you got that top 10 pick, you were going to get somebody good, and they got Alexander Holtz. They didn't need no centerman, and Alexander Holtz was, I think, one of the best shooters in that draft, and he looks pretty damn good. I think Alexander Holtz might be the next big goal scorer for the New Jersey Devils. Dawson Mercer, who played in the QMJHL, who is also not looking too bad there, played for Drummondville and Chicoutimi. I think I said that right. He had 18 points in 16 games and then absolutely ripped it up there with Drummondville with 42 points. Ripping it up, and he played for the World Juniors. I don't remember him very much in that World Juniors. And then they got Shakir Makamadulin. I tried to say that name right, but that's one of the hardest names. It's one of the hardest names to say. He's playing in the KHL right now, and not doing too bad for himself either at a very young age of 18, which is pretty hard to be able to produce as a defenseman. And they needed a defenseman, without a doubt. Tom Fitzgerald was right to pick Makamadulin. He will help out the team a lot, and it's a very smart pick. And then Nico Dawes and the other players might turn out to be some decent picks. But I think overall, Tom Fitzgerald's first draft, I think he did really good. I think he's going to get a lot of good players from this draft, and that will kind of restock the market for the New Jersey Devils. Otherwise, they made a few small little moves, which I really like these moves. Ryan Murray, he's a great defensive defenseman, I gotta say. Yes, he does produce points as well. He doesn't just play pure defensive hockey, but he is mostly just he focuses on defense, and he does a fantastic job for doing it. That's why he was a second overall pick, because he did play very well defensively. It's just injuries have hindered him his entire career, even coming up towards last year. Now, this is just a gamble, honestly. It's not a bad gamble for Tom Fitzgerald. It's a 1-year deal for Matt Murray, and you paid him a 5th-round pick. You're not losing very much when you had 3 first-round picks in that draft. You also got Andres Anthony for Joey Anderson, which, honestly, great deal for the New Jersey Devils. You get a free left-wing sniper who has scored 20 goals before. He has showed that he plays very well alongside a very good player. So you put maybe this guy alongside a Nico Hischier or a guy like a Jack Hughes. Now you kind of have another goal scorer on your team to help your team out. I think the overall great move so far. You go into the signings. They got Corey Crawford to start. Yeah, I think it was mostly to start the free agency off, and then they really didn't do anything. They picked up Dimitri Kulikov. His analytics are not too bad defensively. Like I said, he's a defensive defenseman. And Corey Crawford, he is a very solid goalie. He was a great goalie for the Chicago Blackhawks, even during the days where they didn't look so well. Corey Crawford absolutely stole this series away from the Edmonton Oilers and shut us down. Every chance we had, every good rush, Corey Crawford was a stellar goalie. And I think this pickup for Tom Fitzgerald, it's not a bad move. If your team struggles, then you have a guy that's a huge asset to other teams like Colorado. Any team that needs a goalie, Corey Crawford will be a hot commodity. So overall, I think this offseason has been very good for the New Jersey Devils. They did a lot of good stuff. Sure, they still got to get Jesper Bratt. Sure, they still got to get Mackenzie Blackwood. But your goaltending is great. Corey Crawford, Blackwood, what a great duo. Your top 6, yes, Jesper Bratt, if he takes another jump up, you might have a very good top 6 core with Gusev, Bratt, Hughes, Janssen, Hischier, and Palmieri. You might have a very good top 6, but that's if Jack Hughes jumps up and starts actually playing really well, and Gusev has a really good second year, which I think he will do, because, I mean, he's had a great year last year, and I think he's going to keep going. Now, it's all dependent on how well their depth is. I think this team is still a very young team. They got a lot of stuff that they got to prove, like Pavel Zacha, like a Michael McLeod. He's going to be playing, I think, his first full year. Yeah, it's looking like he might be playing his first full year with the New Jersey Devils. So there's going to be a lot of kind of ups and downs. I don't think this is a playoff team yet, but they're showing that they're willing to move up, like getting Ryan Murray, getting a Janssen, getting 2 very young guys to help them develop for this team, and maybe see if you could revitalize PK Subban. That is a total possibility. You got to remember, PK Subban is a offense guy. He is a flashy offensive defenseman. That's what PK Subban is. He takes flashy moves. Was this a decline? Is he declining at the age of 31 already? Which it can happen. It does happen. So we'll have to see what happens with PK Subban. Can he make a comeback for the New Jersey Devils, especially on a team like this? But I'm going to give this team, I got to say, they didn't really improve on their depth, which I thought they might have done, and go and pick up maybe some more vets, because I think they need a little bit more vets, especially in this like top 6 where you're starting Brent Steen as your depth guy, which no offense to this guy, but I think you need some energy, some like good defensive backup players, some veterans on this team. You only really got Travis Zuzak, that's over 30 on this offensive core, and Palmieri, who's close to that. So I'm going to give this team a B+. The reason why I'm going to give it a B+ is because of the great trades that they did. Actually, I'm going to give this an A- because of the draft that they had, the defense that they picked up, and their patience of just taking this team slowly is a very smart idea. I like what they're doing, and I hope they continue the upwards trend for the New Jersey Devils. They look like a very good team, and if Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier really develop this next year, you might be seeing this team in the future make a playoff run, maybe bolster up their team. But for right now, guys, we're going to send it off to Pearlo, as me and him are going to be talking some more New Jersey Devils talk. So stick around for that. But let's head off to the interview. Hello, everyone. We are back, and I am here with the man, Pearlo Wisdom, as we're here to talk about some New Jersey Devils stuff. But before we get right into that, make sure to go check out his channel. His link will be down in the description below, as he's been doing the same series as I am, a little bit different. I usually give the grade at the end of the video. He does the future and titles for each team. So how's it going, Pearlo? How's your day going?
Oh, it's going fantastic, man. I was really happy that we were able to connect here on Friday. I didn't know if it was going to work out, but I'm glad it did.
Yeah, I didn't know either. It's been a pretty busy week. I'm excited for winter break to finally come along. So we're gonna get right into things as the New Jersey Devils. They had a pretty busy offseason. They had a lot of draft picks, a lot of first round draft picks, especially for how deep this draft was. They got Holtz, they got Mercer, they got Macamadulin, which a lot of people were surprised about getting picked there. And just overall a good draft. So what's the future with Holtz going to New Jersey and same with Mercer and Macamadulin? And what is the future for the New Jersey Devils with those three guys?
Well, I mean, if Holtz pans out the way it's projected, I mean, his upside is absolutely crazy. You could be looking at like a Lion A. He's got a Lion A type shot.
Hmm.
Uh, it's it's and I would say probably better defensively than Lion A. So Holtz, for them, they don't really have one of those shoot first guys on their team either. So it was a very big move for them, a very good move for them, a very nice pick for them to have, and very nice for him to be there. I didn't expect him to be there that low. So great for them to pick up a guy like that in this spot. I think at least he's going to be a 25 goal scorer. He's got some pretty good size, which is an issue for New Jersey. They're not really the biggest team in the world, and he doesn't really back down from anybody either. I mean, I wouldn't call him aggressive, but he's not a guy that's going to cower in the corner either. So I think it's a fantastic pick for them, and I also think he'll be playing very soon. He's got a body that's almost ready to go.
Yeah, and that's for sure. We'll move on to the trades now with Tom Fitzgerald. This is kind of his first official offseason, and the first couple trades we've seen him do was actually pretty damn good. Picking up first from Tampa Bay for Blake Coleman, which was an amazing deal. But now we get into them bolstering up their defensive core, picking up Ryan Murray, who in the past he was a second overall pick. He hasn't really formed into that top two defenseman, and it's mostly due to the injuries. But how do you think Ryan Murray will affect this pretty poor New Jersey Devils defensive core?
Well, you mentioned it. It's really all about the injuries with Ryan Murray. Apparently, I heard from Columbus the word I used is these injuries, for whatever reason they are, they're chronic. They didn't
Hmm.
really ever, it doesn't appear that they're ever going to go away, and that's not very good news. As far as him as a player on the ice when he's on the ice, it would be a huge boost for them. They really have defense is a difficult spot for New Jersey, has been for quite some time. Um, Will Butcher would have been playing the top left defenseman spot if not picking up Ryan Murray for a fifth round pick. Nice to get him only for a fifth. I don't think anybody else out there was clawing for him, so makes me wonder if they even had to do that. But I don't blame them for the move. They needed somebody. You cross your fingers, hope he doesn't get injured again, and even if he does, if you hope he can play at least 50 games, not it's not going to hurt really. I don't think it's a move that's going to hurt them all too much. And he's only up until 2021, so this to the end of this next year, I think it is. So
Hmm.
it's a safe move. It's a fairly safe move.
Now we'll move on to another thing. We were talking about Holtz with goal scoring, and they picked up a pretty good offensive piece in Andreas Janssen for Joey Anderson. Talk about this deal and how it will address their goal scoring needs going for the future for the New Jersey Devils.
Is that Johansson? The
Yeah,
Johansson trade? Yeah,
yeah,
that,
yeah,
that was a nice. Again, you're so right that um, he has it's Fitzgerald, right?
yeah.
Fitzgerald. I always say I have a tendency to say Fitzpatrick for some reason. Anyways, Fitzgerald did a really good job of plucking players and giving up virtually nothing. Johansson is a safe pick. He's at least a third liner. He could still have offensive upside. He's probably going to play on their top line left wing this year, so they're going to be able to give him every opportunity to have offense that he didn't get much of an opportunity in Toronto to show. simply because it's such a stacked top six. He got 21 points last year. When I watched him play, I liked his overall game. I don't think he's going to be much more than a half a point a gamer. Maybe you'll get a 50-point season out of him. But for how little they gave up, nothing wrong with it, I would say. What do you think about Johansson?
I like,
Janssen.
yeah, I like Andreas Janssen. I think he'll be a good 30-point or 30 goal scoring guy for the team, and maybe
Really?
he showed that he could potentially get to that point. In his first couple years with the Toronto Maple Leafs, he was producing off the wall. His analytics looked really good, and his second year in the NHL, he put up 20 goals, and you don't see that out of very many hockey players. Right off the get go, they're throwing up 20 goals. I think this is kind of a guy you're looking at as like a Mike Hoffman type of prototype, really. A guy that is going to get you 20, 30 goals seasons. He might not hit 30 every season, but like you said, he could be a potentially 50-point guy each and every year and could produce some really good points for your team. And I think picking him up for Joey Anderson was a guy that was going to legit be a top 9 forward at the best. So you get rid of him for a guy like Johnson, who has a beautiful contract for the next 3 years. You don't have to worry about him, and you can let him develop on this young, uprising New Jersey team. Whatever if you play him with Jack Hughes or you play him with Nico Hischier, those guys you now have a goal scoring guy to play alongside of those two. So we'll jump on to the next thing, which was a pretty big move. We'll move on to the free agency as they went after Corey Crawford and got him to a 2-year, $3.9 million deal. Now, what do you think Fitzgerald's plan with getting Corey Crawford onto the team? Will it help Blackwood, or will it help them maybe make that push towards the playoffs?
I mean, I suppose it could help them make the push towards the playoffs. They got two solid goaltenders now in a condensed season. That's a big thing. However, I just can't see New Jersey making it this year. But I think it's a great move because it gives you tons of options. Corey Crawford, for one thing, how can it hurt a couple cups to play with a Blackwood, who I am very, very, very high on, and I do believe you are as well. That I'm very high on Blackwood. I think he's going to be a great number one. I just wanted to check out, did he have an NMC attached to that contract as well? Or was
Um,
it
it
no trade
was a
clause?
no trade clause.
There was a no trade clause. So
Yeah.
um, I thought maybe they were also going to pick him up for a possibility if they're right out of it by the deadline, they could move him to a team that really needs goaltending. And even though he does have an NTC, he may salivate a possibility of going to a place like, say, Colorado, who
Hmm.
may, well, they're going to check out what their goaltending is. They have Saad there. There's a Chicago connection there. So I thought he did well to get him. Even if they do keep him for the length of this contract, having Mackenzie Blackwood be able to feed off a guy like Corey Crawford is a huge boost for them. They don't have to worry about all of their younger goaltenders now. They can let them percolate down there in the minors and become as good as they can be before they head them off, and Blackwood becomes the true number one that I do believe he really will be.
And we have seen it before. I think this is a really good plan for a lot of teams. You get a veteran goalie to go alongside of your younger goalie. You have a tandem like we've seen in Washington now, where they have Lundqvist and Samsonov, probably looking at one of the best pairings in the NHL as a veteran and younger player. We've seen Calgary before with Smith and Riddick and how much Smith helped out Riddick. So I think this will help out Blackwood a lot. Blackwood had a great year on a pretty poor defensive team. He put up some pretty damn good numbers. He had a 915 and a 277, which is pretty damn good for how poor defensively the New Jersey Devils were. So we'll get on to the thoughts and the final thoughts about this team and your grading for the New Jersey Devils. Do you think this team will make it onto the playoffs? Do you think, or maybe they're just a bottom feeder like they were this past year, and the grade on this year's offseason?
Um, I can't see them making the playoffs, honestly. Their forward group is a little better this year, which
Mm-hmm.
is good. We didn't even get into talking right now about Lindy Ruff, who I think is going to
Oh,
do well. Do
totally
well
forgot
for
about
this team.
that.
That's fine, but we will talk about it now because I am high on Lindy Ruff, and
Oh, I
there
am
was a
too.
lot of boos in the crowds when they hired him, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if you guys know what Lindy Ruff is about. He did a fantastic job in Buffalo. He went in a difficult situation in Dallas where they were trying to bring more offense out of a team that couldn't get their head out of the butt playing, and they're still struggling with playing a pure defensive type game and having a tough time scoring after all these years. Hitchcock has a way of embedding that kind of mentality into a team, and he had a difficult spot there. So I think he's going to do fantastic here. Now the big problem again to me is the same problem as last year, and I really don't think it's improved all that much. Ryan Murray, if he can play a full season, would be great. PK Subban, I think he kind of got a rough. I don't think it's about his poor play. It's just there's PK Subban can't be the guy, and he's the guy here. He needs people around him that can do a lot of things. Otherwise, he gets left out in the cold a lot, especially when he's playing with top against the top, asking to play a little more defense than he is accustomed to doing. I don't think that changes that much now unless Ryan Murray can play a lot. Will Butcher, I am not high on Will Butcher. I like to you being the analytic guy. I'd really like to see what his defensive analytics are because I see a guy who just doesn't know what he's doing back there at all. It's awful.
Will Butcher, he's not too bad defensively. He has about a 3-star defensive on Jfresh's thing, so 1.1. He's mostly an offensive guy, so you put him alongside of PK Subban definitely will work. But putting him alongside of a guy, for example, if you put him alongside of a Ryan Murray or a Severson plays a bit better defensively than a guy like Will Butcher. And yeah, Lindy Ruff, we totally forgot to talk about him, but I think this is going to be a good guy to have on the team. He's an old-fashioned coach, but this is a guy who's been to the Stanley Cup Finals before with the Buffalo Sabres. He has had a lot of underdog teams. He's made players like Tyler Ennis produce, and that's why I think Janssen will produce with the New Jersey Devils because of the fact that Ruff was able to do that with the Buffalo Sabres. So, what's your grade on this New Jersey team off season?
Sure. I'll just finish off with the defense there because I want to
Yeah, go
mention
ahead.
Ty Smith will be in there too. So that'll be big, but he's still
Hmm.
only 20 years old. Ty Smith will probably play this year. Now, my grade on the off season for the moves that he picked up, considering how little was given up to add to their team without going crazy, signing big names, sticking to the plan that this is a rebuilding team. I'm going to give them like a B plus. I really think that there was a lot of fine moves here that were no risk. Brought some people in with some character. Corey Crawford was a very good one there. Picking up of Andreas Johnson for virtually like nothing. I can't give him a minus on just about anything that was done. About the only reason why I would say this could be an A. Oh, and not only that, the draft was really good. The only reason why I can't give it an A is I would have liked to seen him improve the defense a little bit, but there probably just wasn't anything out there. That being said, there wasn't enough. And we were talking about before it's not over yet. There's going to be a lot of players
It's
falling
not.
off the tree here. This could turn into an A pretty quick. But especially for a rookie general manager that just showing everybody what he's worth right now, he's worth a lot from what I've seen. He's done very well.
But yeah, this team has $17 million still. Like you got teams like Tampa Bay Lightning who want to clear cap. There's a whole list on Cap Friendly that teams need to get over cap. Arizona, Tampa Bay, Vancouver, Toronto, St. Louis, Washington, Vegas, Anaheim, Winnipeg, Edmonton. But I mean, they got Klefbom and LTIR, so that will clear that mostly up. But yeah, Vegas talking about Marchessault, Riley Smith. You have so many players that are out there right now, and Tom Fitzgerald could possibly make some future moves. But we're going to end things here. Thank you very much, Pearlo, for being on the show. All his links will be down in the description below. Go check him out. And yeah, we'll end things here. Thank you very much for watching. Adios, amigos.